Hey everybody, welcome in. It is another bullish day in the crypto market. We got lots to talk about. I know there's a lot of sentiment out there that's in the fear zone. People are fearing bearish and that this bull market's over. But I got data, I have facts, I have signals here to share with you all. And look, it's all probabilities, right? But I think the higher probability falls on the bull side of the fence, if you know what I mean. All right, we're going to give some time for folks to come on in. Let's see who's in the chat here. We got quite a few folks. We got Mac saying there is not going to be a 4 or 5 year cycle. We are in a new digital era. Mark this post and thank me later. Buckles says Vincent Wilson told us 20K XRP would be life-changing. Good to have you, Buckles. Good morning. Also said Backed is pumping. Crypto Rafi, great to see you. Thank you for joining. We got Damascus. Thank you for being a channel subscriber since 2017/2018. Thank you so much. We got Ryan Balin. Thank you for being a channel member. Says, what's up, Tony? We about to moonshot. We're going to break it down, Ryan. I think Q4 is going to be good. I think obviously there's going to be still some volatility before we really start picking up steam. Let's see. We got Daniel Ramos. Great to have you. Otto, thank you for tuning in. Let's see here. I can't pronounce your name. MV Memven, if I'm saying that right. I apologize. On X says, you originally mentioned you sell all your altcoins and keep some Bitcoin. Will that change of adoption have you shifted this approach? No, because it's all of this is still based on the liquidity cycle, right? That even the stock market follows. Seconds of meditation, great to have you. Crypto Chevy, great to have you. The interview with Hester Peirce should be published, I think, by Wednesday. I would say I may be able to get it out tomorrow, but I'm thinking Wednesday just because my editor is still going through everything. DD71, great to have you from Springfield, Missouri. Thank you for tuning in. Temben says, what's up, Tony? Looking forward to October 2025. Yeah, fingers crossed that we get October, right? You know, as I've been saying, it's all probabilities, but I think the higher probability falls on us having a strong Q4, especially after this big flush out and people in fear. And in a bear market, when you have fear, my friends, I've seen it time and time again, it's the perfect setup for a face-melting rally. Adam from Ireland, thank you for tuning in. Justin from Oklahoma, welcome in, guys. Great to have all of you. Please hit that thumbs up button, hit the heart button, hit the like button, wherever you're watching and listening. It doesn't cost you anything. Just do that, folks. Just hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe as well if you haven't. It really supports the stream and the podcast and the channel. And once again, it doesn't cost you anything, right? So thank you so much. We got German from Richmond, Virginia. Thank you for tuning in. All right, guys, let me move myself out of the way here so you guys can see the screen and the data points. Okay, folks. So we all know Bitcoin leads the market, right? As much as you may hate Bitcoin or you don't like it or you don't care for it, and you just have your altcoin bag, you have to understand the dynamics and the fundamentals of this market, and that is the capital comes into Bitcoin, Bitcoin pumps, and then the liquidity rotates to altcoins. We've seen it time and time again. It's why we track things like the Bitcoin dominance and much more. So what's happening with Bitcoin? We're seeing a little bit of a bounce. Let me actually jump to the daily chart. I think that would be helpful. We're seeing a little bit of a bounce, but I don't think we're out of the woods yet. We could still see a little bit more downside before we find our bottom and keep moving up. So Bitcoin trading near $114,000 at this point. And a lot of people are saying, hey, look, it looks like the top is in. There's some bearish things on the charts. But as always, you have to look at the whole landscape. You can't just look at charts. You got to look at the macro. You got to look at things like global liquidity. You got to look at what's happening with the stock market. You got to look at what's happening with gold, which is ripping to new highs. So we have to look at everything. And I'm going to try my best to share with you guys multiple factors now, not my feelings or emotions. Yes, I want to make money. Yes, I'm here to make money. Yes, I want to make incredible returns and you do things with that money, right? So there's a bias there. But I got to leave my bias at the door. I got to leave my emotions at the door, and I have to look at the data. And if things are turning bearish, we will say, hey man, that's it, pack it up, let's go home, right? But that is not what's happening. Okay, let me just show you the Bitcoin monthly chart. This is very zoomed out. This is the macro. Now, let's go to the RSI. If you can see my mouse cursor, and the RSI here in the 2017, 2018 bull market, and we know we topped out in 2017, but there was a mini alt season, running into 2018. You see the RSI is in the green zone. It got very overheated where the RSI went to 90 and above, jumped to 2021. Same thing, 90 and above, super overheated. It's in the green zone. We have not hit anything close to that yet for Bitcoin. And this is on the monthly chart. That's factor number one, right? I'm not saying it has to exactly carbon copy the exact points the RSI hit in those bull market peaks, but we're not even in the same region. We're not even in the high 80s, folks. We've hit like the low 70s. So again, that right there, indication. And if you couple it with, have we seen true euphoria? Have you seen all the grandmas and the aunts and uncles and your cousin and everybody going crazy about crypto? No, we have not seen that yet. We have not seen that euphoria zone. Factor number two, the MACD. Let's go right below the RSI, right? Let me see if I can move myself out of the way here just for the time being so you guys can see where my mouse cursor is. Look at the green and then the red and then the green and then the red. From the monthly, the green is in the bull, the red is the bear, green bull, red bear, and where are we right now? In the green zone. The bulls are still in control. This is the data. I'm not fabricating this. This is not photoshopped. It's not my feelings or emotions. It is simply the macro showing bulls are still in control. Now, if this thing was starting to, the average was starting to cross here, the blue and the red line were starting to cross, I would say, guys, okay, panic time, sound the alarm, pack it up. It's time to start worrying because this is completely changed. But I don't see anything changed here, and the bulls are still in control. So this alone can give you a strong thesis, but we want to look at multiple factors. We want to be educated and look at this thing holistically. We don't want to have tunnel vision over a couple of charts and a couple of metrics. No, we want the whole handful, a variety of things, so we can be as well informed as possible. Okay, let me jump back into the video here. All right. Now, on the weekly chart, yes, the bears are in control, but that is the more micro view from the monthly, right? The monthly is a higher time frame. So yes, the bears are in control here, and we've been acknowledging that and talking about that for weeks. I was telling you guys, hey, there's more downside here, and but we're still in the bull market. Now, another factor, you see this green line on my chart here? That is the 200-day moving average. What have I told you guys? If we are above that and we are in an uptrend, we are in a bull market. If we are below that and in a downtrend, we are in a bear market. Right now, Bitcoin is still holding that 200-day moving average. We're nowhere near going below it, and we're not in a downtrend per se, a macro downtrend. So if simple pattern recognition here on the chart shows you, right? Let's go back to 2017. We're above the 200-day moving average. We break below it and we enter a downtrend, bear market. 2020, we're above the 200-day moving average going into 2021. We come down, we jump back above it, but then we break below it into a bear market. Since December, or I should say January 2023, we have been above the 200-day moving average. So we have not lost that macro support level. So you can't tell me bear market because the data, the history is not in alignment with you. And you can use the same metric for even the stock market. Let's just look at the S&P 500 for a second. Look at this. This is the S&P 500 now, right? More liquidity, has been around longer, and much more. Notice that above the 200-day moving average, bull market, the tariff crash took us below, but then we recovered. But if you go back and look at 2022, what happened? Similar to the crypto market, it went below the 200-day moving average and entered a downtrend. Right now, the stock market is way above the 200-day moving average. So this is why you got to look at multiple signals. You can't just look at a couple little things and much more. You got to look at multiple signals and form your thesis, right? No emotions, just what's happening on the chart here. All right. Another factor, folks, global liquidity, which has been a leading indicator. And once again, we're looking at multiple factors. So we're not just dependent on global liquidity. It has been a leading indicator. It is still on the way up, folks. So it's showing there's still room to run here. You know, one of the things I was concerned about a month ago was that global liquidity started correcting. And the question that was up in the air was, hey, is this thing going to keep going? Because it means that a topping out is around the corner. But it recovered and it kept moving up. So this is another factor. Now, gold, which has also been a leading indicator in this bull market, we've seen a rotation of liquidity. Gold will pump, it will cool off. The stock market starts pumping, it will cool off, and then crypto starts running, right? We've seen that time and time again. Gold is breaking to new highs. Look at this chart. It's going crazy. And you can see it's above the 200-day moving average, right? If we look at 2022, what happened? Just like crypto, just like the stock market, it went below it. Now, its corrections have not been as volatile, have not been as deep as the stock market and crypto, but its upside is also not as great as crypto, right? So this is where you want to add some context. But clearly, there's liquidity in the market, things are moving, and you got other precious metals. I think silver and platinum and much more have been ripping, but we're going to use gold as the benchmark, like we use Bitcoin as the benchmark for the crypto market. So the macro bull market is still intact here. And folks, you know, what we saw is that the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index touched fear over the past few days. Now it just jumped back to neutral because Bitcoin has been moving upwards, but we touch fear. So you got the reset of the sentiment, right? And then if you jump back to the Bitcoin daily chart, the RSI, it touched the oversold zone, which is very good. Now, once again, I still think there may be some room for it to go to maybe super oversold, like what we saw early in the year with the tariff crash. So all of these factors are just telling us this is a normal cyclical pattern. I hope you see it as well. Other metrics like the Bitcoin Pi cycle top indicator, nowhere close to firing off, right? There's something else I need to show you guys that I forgot to pull up the chart, but let me pull it up here now. So the Pi cycle top indicator, it is still firing. Now, what are the whales doing? What is the on-chain data showing us? Bitcoin whales with wallets of 10 or more Bitcoin continue to accumulate. The data doesn't lie. This is not Photoshop. This is not some AI stuff I'm sharing here with you guys. It's not a deep fake. This is the data. And again, it's why I am still bullish, because I'm seeing all of these factors and it still points to bull market, despite the short-term volatility, despite the sentiment and the fear that's out there. But I've been here for multiple bull and bear markets, folks, and I've seen this time and time again. People get so scared. If you guys recall, earlier this year when I was telling you all in the tariff crash, it's not over. It's not over. The bull market is still intact. People were saying, you're crazy, Tony. Look what just happened. And I was like, wait a minute. The data is showing us that this thing is not over. Remember all the fear that took place here? And then we rallied from there. It's funny how people forget. They have short memory spans here. But I'm here to help you guys remember. I'm here to help you guys look at the data. And I'm not saying I get it absolutely right all the time or I have a crystal ball, but I'm just showing you the data we have right here. And it's all pointing to the bull market. There's no bear market indication here based on multiple factors, right? So I gave you whale data. I gave you metrics we've seen that indicated the top. So we talked about sentiment. We talked about the macro bull market with rotational liquidity, gold still leading. We looked at the Bitcoin monthly chart where things are nowhere overheated. The bulls are still in control based on the MACD. And there's much more, right? We talked about sentiment. We haven't seen true euphoria. We also see the Coinbase app ranking, that has not been in the top 10 or number one, which we've seen in the past. So again, we've got to be patient here and go through the roller coaster ride. I know it can be stomach churning. I know it's frustrating. I know it's boring. Guys, I got skin in the game. I got crypto. I want to take profits on. So I'm patiently awaiting. And again, I'm leaving my bias at the door. I'm leaving my feelings at the door and just saying, what is the data showing me here? And I'm looking at multiple factors. Now, the other macro factor we talked about is rate cuts, right? We had a rate cut this month, of course, and there's more that are scheduled. And we may continue to see the Treasury drain the TGA, the Treasury General Account, and then, they're going to inject liquidity. We've seen that time and time again. So this is where we have to be patient and go through the roller coaster ride. But what doesn't help is Jim Cramer this morning post. The man is a demon, I swear. But he posted buy crypto this morning. I mean, inverse Cramer, right? So I think this is short term though, in a sense that it may drive more sell pressure down because inverse Cramer. And this is where I'm saying, I don't think this little pullback here is over, and we're gonna find our way up soon, but we got to bottom out. Now, some more factors. Bitcoin dominance. Okay, we've seen a breakdown of Bitcoin dominance, right? Q4, we saw the breakdown here, and that was a major rally. From June into August, we saw a big breakdown. That's why Bitcoin went to new highs. You had some altcoins move as well. But if I zoom out here, my friends, look at the 2021 breakdown of Bitcoin dominance. We are nowhere close to that, right? Look at the 2017 breakdown of Bitcoin dominance. We are nowhere close to those breakdown levels. So you're telling me this little micro breakdown that was it? That was the top of the market? Come on, right? And we got to, of course, keep monitoring this. I think we could see a bit more strength as the market is cooling down. We find the bottom and then it keeps breaking down. Okay, let's look at USDT dominance, Tether dominance. We haven't broken down to the levels we've seen before as well, right? And I've been telling you guys, once we break 4% and we start heading down, watch the break of 3.7%, and that will send a ton of liquidity into the market. So again, guys, look, this breakdown is not even as big as the one we saw in Q4. So all the factors are there, folks, that just scream we are still in the bull market. And if you disagree with me, please, you got to combat these data points, these metrics and signals. Why is this different this time around, right? So everything in alignment here with a bull market, folks. And we, of course, continue to see major adoption of crypto. Just for example, Pakistan's prime minister says crypto is one of the tools of the future, speaking at the UN. So that's pretty incredible. And then from a seasonality standpoint, October in the bull market years, right? Because you have the halving, then you have the year following, and then you have the final year, the third year, right? It's 3 years up, 1 year down. October, November, and December Q4 is set for an explosive move, especially that we are in the dumps right now. Guys, what have we seen? The markets do the opposite of the herd, right? So if everybody's feeling bearish right now and it's in the dumps and sentiment is in fear, what comes next? Greed, right? The move towards greed. So it's the same cyclical pattern playing out over and over and over. So I believe history is on our side. Obviously, there's no guarantees, right? I want to make sure I'm clear with that. I'm not saying this is guaranteed and it must happen. No, I don't have a crystal ball. But if we're talking probabilities, which is how you want to look at it from an investment standpoint, the bull scenario has the higher probability of playing out than the bear. And I think vastly, by a lot of percentage points, not by a little. I think there's more weight on the scales towards the bulls, right? Folks, hit the thumbs up button for an explosive Q4, for an explosive rally that we see, new highs and all that. Hit the thumbs up button, hit the like button, and much more. So again, folks, notice I didn't share any emotions. I didn't share any feelings. Just here's the data. And it's clearly showing no invalidation. And once again, I don't want to say, I'm not like a perma bull where I'm going to be an idiot and put blinders on to the bear case. Of course, there's a bear case there. But there's more factors, more data points on the side of bulls here. And we continue to see the treasury companies like MicroStrategy, or I should say Strategy, continue to accumulate. So what we've seen, these guys are doing the stock arbitrage. So if they're doing the stock arbitrage, they're going to want to, make money off of that and see their stock go up. Well, they continue to accumulate. So clearly they're anticipating higher prices. And it's not just Bitcoin. You continue to see Tom Lee's BitMine. They continue to buy a ton of ETH. They've got 2.65 million ETH. They're now the top holder of the ETH, token on their balance sheet. And this is in line with the on-chain data of Bitcoin whales are continuing to accumulate. And in fact, in the recent months, there was a big increase. It jumped up. Let me actually zoom back out here. How do I zoom back out? Let's see. Oh, right down here. So if we look here, since the drop, you can see this pretty sharp incline here. So they scooped up more Bitcoin at the lower prices. That's how smart money operates. Yeah, I know some of you are sharing the Jim Cramer stuff. I was talking about Jim Cramer says buy crypto. So I think this is more of the short-term volatility and downside. Like I said, I don't think we're out of the woods yet with Bitcoin. So we could see this go down. Maybe it touches the 200-day moving average, right? So that's where be patient, expect the volatility, but we still got time. Let me jump back to a scenario, because I know, again, sometimes people have short-term memory. It is wild. People just don't remember. You guys remember when we had the big rally last year, 2024, Bitcoin hit a new high before the halving and then a massive downtrend. Oh no, it's over. That's it. Oh no, Japanese yen carry trade situation. Look at this massive flush out. This happened for the stock market, right? People were calling the top, the 1929 collapse and whatever else. And then what happened? The slow chop grind into October now. The rally started October 13th. So people were so scared. Oh my God, it's over. Look at this downtrend. Oh my God, fear. You guys are wrong. But the other data points were still screaming, hey, no top is in here. And then what happened? October came, and October 13th, we started our rally, but then it still had a correction. And then November is when you saw the majority of the gains. But people forget. People forget the fear that was happening here in August into September with the Japanese yen carry trade situation. The same thing is happening here, right? The fear. They forget about the rallies. They forget about Bitcoin just went up to a new all-time high. I mean, $124,000 in August. And one of the things I've been telling you guys is that the whole timeline has been shifted because the normal correction that would have happened coming out of Q4 was further elongated because of the tariff crash, right? The stock market crash, crypto crash, and people were even calling the top then. So it's like, come on, man. So again, this is nothing compared to what happened in the tariff crash. Nothing compared to what happened in the Japanese yen carry trade last year. This is nothing. Look at it. It's a little blip, but people are so scared right now. But hey, look, that's the nature of markets. And this is where I'm hoping to educate you guys and share the facts with you. There's no invalidation here. Again, a simple thing. Look at the 200-day moving average. We're comfortably above it. We're still in a uptrend, a macro uptrend, higher highs, higher lows. And we just got to be patient and ride it out. Folks, before I go further, hit the thumbs up button, hit the heart button, hit the like button. Check out our sponsors, Uphold, great place to buy, sell, and trade crypto. I've been a user of the platform for many years. They have 300 plus cryptocurrencies. They offer staking on 20 plus crypto assets. Check out Trezor, beautiful hardware wallets. They created the hardware wallets. They created the seed phrase setup back in 2013. I'm a user of the Trezor Safe 5. Self-custody is the way to go. They support all your top coins, Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Solana, and much more. And folks, you can get 5% off if you use the code Thinking Crypto, all one word, Thinking Crypto. Check out Proppy, leading the charge with putting real estate on chain. I'm a user of Proppy, and I hold the token, and you can buy and sell your house or your apartment on Proppy and get, you can sell it for crypto. So if you want to sell your house for XRP, Bitcoin, Ethereum, you can do that. And they use Coinbase with a crypto escrow service. And once again, I'm a pro token holder. I believe in this project. We know real estate's going on chain. Check out VeChain, one of the top layer 1 enterprise blockchains, getting adoption from many companies and brands around the world. They're working with Boston Consulting Group, Dana White, and the UFC. I am a VET token holder, and they are building some really cool Web3 applications. They recently added staking, so via Stargate. So check that out, guys. VeChain, really, really great. Also, check out iTrust Capital, great place to invest and get tax benefits. You can trade 24/7. There's no monthly fee, and they have the second safest way to custody your crypto assets behind self-custody. They use Coinbase Prime, Fireblocks, Fidelity Digital Assets for custodial services, so you can rest assured your assets are safe. They're using top tier level, which a lot of the institutions use, like BlackRock uses Coinbase custody. So you can rest assured that your assets are safe. And if you sign up with my link, you can get a $100 funding bonus. All the links will be in the description, folks. Check out these sponsors. All right, let's jump back into it. Now, look at this. Swift partners with Consensus to build blockchain settlement system. That's like a mic drop moment, right? Swift, the old way of sending money, is capitulating to blockchain. They know disruptions at their doorstep. So the Swift system is basically the banking systems created this messaging platform, and that's all it is. But blockchain and stablecoins bring instant settlement. So pretty incredible that they're doing this. According to a Monday announcement, the Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunications, SWIFT, is developing a blockchain in collaboration with over 30 financial institutions with Consensus. The initial focus is on developing infrastructure for real-time 24/7 cross-border payments. See where we're headed, folks? See the direction the puck is heading in? And if they're working with Consensus, you know it's going to be Ethereum-based, right? It could be a fork of Ethereum or a layer 2 on top of Ethereum. So very interesting. And, they mentioned it here, real-time 24/7 markets. Crypto started the 24/7 market movement. No holidays, no nights or weekends, no opening or closing bell. Now TradFi is definitely trying to get on board here. So this is huge validation of the technology. Send this to a crypto skeptic, folks. Now look at this. USDT and USDC dominate 46 billion in quarterly stablecoin inflows. With the Genius Act pass, you are seeing incredible growth of stablecoins and the adoption of stablecoins, and plus new people looking to create stablecoins like the banks and much more. So this is amazing. And a lot of this liquidity will be used in the real world, but also be put into crypto. So just another factor, guys, that there's more to this bull market. It's not over. All right, I want to make sure I answer your guys' questions, but before I do, be sure to subscribe to my free email newsletter on Substack, folks. It's 100% free. Link will be in the description. Check out my book on Amazon. It's available in paperback and digital, and my course at mycryptocourse.com. This is a comprehensive course that teaches you everything about crypto. All the links will be in the description. All right. So let's see what people are saying here in the comment section. C-Shep says, it's over. Laugh out loud. Yeah, C-Shep, you got to provide data, my friend. You see, just saying it's over or it's not over, you got to back it up with some data. You got to dispute the facts, my friend. You got to come to the table with some facts. Damascus, thank you for reminding me. Thank you so much for reminding me. The other factor, right, guys, in milestones and things that are going to have a macro effect, the Clarity Act is in the Senate. That is expected to pass. Altcoin ETFs are coming. So you're telling me we're going to enter the bear market with altcoin ETFs getting approved? Get out of here, man. Rusty Nut says BCB is scared. He worries too much about the Rust. Oh, yeah. It's look. I listen to the blockchain backer. I'm a big fan of the BCB, and I've learned a lot from him. But I think he may be hyper focusing too much on some of these fractals or the Russell, and I have no problem, talking to him about that. I consider him a friend. I'm not a hater. I don't trash him or anything like that. Like I said, I've learned a lot from the man. But look, nobody gets it right all the time. What we do try to do is present the facts, right, and form a thesis, and we got to look at it from a probability standpoint. So, like I said at the beginning, there is a bear case. I'm not ignoring that. I'm not throwing that out, and there's a bull case. So if you're weighing it on a scale, which one has the higher probability of playing out? I believe it's the bull based on multiple factors. So I hope you guys understand. Damascus says, I'd love for the cycles to be over. Who knows, though we will see eventually could happen. Here's the thing, Damascus. I think crypto is going to get less volatile, and it may start acting more like the stock market. But let me show you something on the stock market chart. And let me go back to, let's do the daily here for the S&P 500. So I think I've shared this before. Look at what happened to the stock market in 2022. The same thing happened with crypto. Why would the stock market correct in that point? Well, the stock market follows global liquidity. So the global liquidity is triggered more by the presidential election cycle, which is every 4 years, because the incumbents try to inject liquidity to pump the markets. When the new president gets in office, they try to do the same thing, make everything look good, right? Make people feel good. The stock market's up, my portfolio's up, my 401k is up. That is the baseline thesis here. So this is why I'm not showing you the Bitcoin chart. I'm showing you the S&P 500. Bitcoin was and the crypto market was in a bear market in 2022. So was the stock market. But you can see the stock market didn't drop as much as crypto, right? Because it's not as volatile, but it also doesn't give you the same upside. So that's why we are more so invested in crypto. So while I think the 4-year cycles continue, they may not be as volatile as before. They may be more like this stock market. It's dampened, right? It's more it's less severe. So that's my thesis. I could be wrong, but AJ says, Jim Cramer says buy crypto. Yeah, we talked about it earlier. And it's I think it's more of for the short term, of course. And don't call me Shirley. Drink a shot every time he says emotions. I'm just trying to, I know I keep repeating that because I see people get emotional. That's why I see them getting angry, frustrated, depressed, and I'm trying to snap them out of it. Like, hey, wake up, man, wake up. Don't be emotional. Just be educated. Abdul says, Tony, I purchased ICP. It is currently at $4.20. Its all-time high is $7.50. What is your analysis on it? Please share. All right, let's take a look at ICP. I think the ICP chart, if I'm not mistaken, was pretty brutal last time we looked at it. I don't hold it, and I have no reason to be anti-ICP, but it's a brutal chart, guys. Yeah, so 750, pretty high, right? So it's down big time. However, if you bought the bear market bottom in 2022 or 2023, even a rally that we saw in Q1 2024, you made some money. So it's all about your entry price. I don't think this coin has the ability to get back to these all-time highs anytime soon. Maybe in the future, but not right now. And if it does rally, right, with the rising tide that lifts all boats, if it does rise, come Q4, once we move towards the blow off top, it will take tons of liquidity to try to get it back. So it's a brutal chart, but Abdul, it depends on your entry price. I hope you didn't buy at 750. I hope you bought, in the maybe $1 to $10 range, so that if this thing goes to even $40, you're making money. So it's many times it's about that. October, Pumpvember, Bullcember. Yeah, pre-rich. Yeah, exactly. as I said. Yep. Mic drop on XRP's claims. Let's look at the XRP chart. XRP has been one of the leading altcoins in this bull market, of course, performing really well. Huge narrative. There's tons of XRP spot ETFs in play. And that's a beautiful chart, folks. Higher highs, higher lows. Despite this pullback, again, when in doubt, zoom out. We are still comfortably above the 200-day moving average, as you can see here. We're still holding those key supports. And it looks like a bullish flag forming here. And just a matter of time before this thing breaks out, folks. We've already smashed the all-time high. And I think we're going to enter price discovery once the market starts moving. I'm still expecting, an $8 to $10 XRP, not guaranteed, of course. I'm going to start laddering out as far as taking profits around $5 and then $6 and so on and so forth. Again, not guaranteed that it gets to that. I want to make sure you guys are balanced. We can be optimistic, we can be bullish, but we want to be balanced. There's no certainties here. But as of today, we can look at the charts, we can look at the macro and all the different factors like altcoin ETFs, XRP ETFs on deck from the SEC. And we can say, hey, look, this looks like we're setting up for another run here. There's some people calling for the top, but I think it's not over. Living in Tallahassee, Florida, says, what happened to Swift and XRP working together? Fake news, huh? Yeah, look, I was never anybody who said that. You got to be careful. There are a lot of conspiracy theory driven channels. They just throw out random theories. Oh, Swift is doing this. The Fed is going to use XRP. All kinds of bullshit. So you got to be careful, guys. I understand there's an entertainment factor, but if you want to be a serious investor, you got to avoid stuff like that, right? Obviously, it's your decision what you want to do and who you listen to, but just be careful. People who are just selling you fairy tales and conspiracy theories, like they don't have any basis, any facts, but they're going to say, hey, look, I saw Brad Garlinghouse shake hands with Jerome Powell. That means the Fed is going to use XRP. And then they go into this whole crazy story. You got to be careful with that, right? That's like the celebrity tabloids. Right? Oh, this guy met with this guy for coffee. That means this is happening and this and this and this and that. And it's like, come on, really? Zico says, hey, Tony, what's your thoughts on XPL Plasma? I don't know what that is, Zico. I apologize. XPL. What token is that? Is the name of the token Plasma? Let's see here. XPL. Oops. Okay, XPL. The token is Plasma. The ticker is XPL. Okay. So it looks like this coin was recently launched. Yeah, I mean, the data just goes back to earlier this month or just recently. I honestly don't know anything about this, and it's still very early to do an assessment on the charts because it just launched. So look, here's the thing. There are new tokens launching, and you can grab some of these very cheap and you can make a nice return. You can also lose your shirt. So, I like to recommend, if people ask me, hey, how should I invest in these? Well, I say take small amounts of money that you're okay with losing. So even if you throw $200 into XPL or something that just launched, right? You lose $200, not the end of the world. But some people will say, should I put 10 grand into it? I'm like, well, are you okay losing 10 grand, right? So you got to be careful. I used to do this where I threw like $500 on a new token at launch, and yes, it may pay off, and I 4x, 5x my money or something like that. But I don't have time anymore. I kind of just play the macro now. I just load the hell up in the bear market, and I ride the wave up. So I've kind of stopped doing this. And part of it is time. I've got a family, I got the podcast. But if you have the time and you know what you're doing, then yeah, go for it. But like I said, the advice I give people when they come and say, hey, there's this new token that just launched, should I throw 20K? I'm like, dude, just be careful. And are you willing to lose 20K? Maybe just go with 1,000, right? $1,000. So just be careful out there, folks. Balalika, if I'm saying that right. How are you? Good to have you. 805 South Burrito says, we owe you a burrito. That's awesome. Where are you guys located? Hustle Hard Crypto says, much respect from New Zealand. Thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate it. I want to visit New Zealand one day. It's a very beautiful country. I know a lot of movies and things have been filmed there, and I want to go see this the landscape and the beautiful nature and scenery and things like that. How high will Aster get? I'm hearing a ton about Aster. Again, one of these new coins, right? APX tokens. Wait, what? With the launch of APX and Elevator convert. Yeah. So when was this launched? I don't. 18th of September. So like I said, new coins launching, they can do well. So just be careful though, right, guys? I can't judge the chart right now. It's just too early. I'm not an expert technical analyst. I just know enough to navigate the markets and make some money, but there are guys who are much more sophisticated and knowledgeable about these things for these short-term moves. So stable coins are different from your crypto assets. So stable coins are just tokenized dollars. You can easily move money and it's instant settlement. Now, could you send somebody some XRP, Bitcoin, Ethereum? Yes, but most people don't want to because those they treat as investments. Those are the tokens that are native to their blockchains. So the expected idea is that they're going to go up in value, of course, right? But stable coins are just pegged to the dollar or to the euro, and they just stabilize as per the name. And it's just usually for moving money. And that's one of the killer apps of blockchain and crypto. David R. Morla, good morning. Great to have you, my friend. Exactly, Pre-Rich. All markets have cycles. So I keep seeing people getting caught up. Maybe some people are saying, look at the ETFs, look at this, look at the digital asset treasury companies. All cycles are broken. No. What's driving all those markets? It's liquidity. This is why I share global liquidity as a metric, right? You have to respect the nature of markets and what's driving them, folks. So global liquidity, like I've been telling you guys, continues to be a leading indicator here. So this is what's driving the markets. That's why the stock market corrected in different points in time, because liquidity gets removed from the market. Josh Clark says, thank you, Tony. Looking forward to a long-awaited Q4 for XRP and HBAR. Yeah, let's look at HBAR. Guys, I'm bullish on HBAR. I hold it in my portfolio. And no bias. That chart looks great also, just like XRP. So HBAR has been showing a ton of strength. And it's not far from its all-time high. So it won't take much liquidity to drive this thing to new highs. So again, no bias. Just look at the chart itself. If in 2021, this thing hit 57 cents, we are currently, we hit 38, 39 cents in Q4. We pulled back, of course, like everything else, but we're still holding some strong support levels here. We're above the 200-day moving average, the green line, as you can see here, right? We're clearly in a good position for another blast off. So it looks very similar to XRP, the XRP chart, right? Very similar. So bullish on HBAR and hoping this thing can crack $1. And I think it can. I mean, we're just not far away from it, and go higher, of course. That would be pretty sweet. I would make some really nice returns because I've been buying down here in the dumps, in the pennies, guys. And I hope you have been as well. Even if you bought at 10 cents or something, right? You're still positioned to make money. BCB would have disagreed with you, and that's fine. Again, BCB, I was actually in talks with BCB to try to get him on the podcast, but he had some family stuff come up and he couldn't really do the scheduling. But I understand the bear case he's presenting, and I'm not ignoring that. I see the bearish divergence on the weekly chart, but if you're just using that metric in some fractals, what about the whole other plate of stuff I just shared. Global liquidity, the macro factors out there, right? The Bitcoin monthly chart. I mean, just the Bitcoin monthly chart is screaming bull market, guys. Like I started the podcast with. So again, just to revisit, the RSI is nowhere near the levels we've seen it in the past at blow off tops, which is 90 and above. We haven't even crossed the mid 70s. The MACD, look at this, right? Just simple pattern recognition. The MACD, the bulls are in control. Look at the bear markets in the red. Look at the previous bull markets in the green. Look at 2017, green. Then 2018 to 2019, red. So are we in the red right now? No. And you can see the orange and the blue lines have not crossed, signaling the entry into a bear market. So how do you dispute that? Right? And this is the higher time frame. This is not the weekly. This is the monthly. So you got to dispute it. In addition, why are Bitcoin whales continuing to accumulate? Why did they pick up their accumulation over the past few weeks when the price in the dumps and retail is feeling massive fear? Right? Why hasn't the Pi cycle top indicator flashed if the top is in? So there's multiple factors here, right? We went through a bunch of them already. I trust Vincent Wilson over Jim Cramer. Whiskey Throttle says boogie woogie woo. No problem, man. Damascus says thoughts on the Federal Reserve Payments Innovation Conference coming. I didn't hear about this, but clearly they've been talking about stablecoins and blockchain. They know the deal now, so we'll see what they eventually do. Here's my thesis. I think with the ban on CBDCs in the US, the Fed is going to have these stablecoin issuers, whether they be Circle, Tether, Ripple, PYUSD, PayPal. They're going to have, I lost my train of thought. They're going to have them plug into the Fed and Treasury via, blockchain APIs. I think that's what's coming. Absolutely, Buckles. Appreciate you tuning in. Kroll bro, thank you. Appreciate that. NASDAQ and SWIFT powered by Ethereum. Yeah, I mean, ETH is being used by many of these platforms for sure. Thank you, living in Tallahassee, Florida. I appreciate that. I try my best to just stick to the facts because, look, like I said, I got skin in the game. I'm not here to play silly games just for views. I want to make money, as I'm sure many of you, right? We're here to make some returns. Google user says, big news. Can we talk about the new announcement from Swift with their own blockchain with the help of banks? Yeah, I mentioned the news earlier. I don't know if you caught that. They're working with Consensus. So most likely this is going to be an Ethereum based platform, either a fork of ETH or a layer 2, most likely a layer 2, or a private version of ETH, like what JP Morgan had built. JP Morgan built the Quorum blockchain and it was a private version of Ethereum. Oil Bitcoin to the moon. Do you think any other coins will outperform Bitcoin? Yeah, generally what we've seen in the past is that all coins outperform Bitcoin, even ETH, right? Even ETH in its maturity phase, if you want to call that, having been here for multiple cycles, it's already starting to outperform Bitcoin. So I think a lot of altcoins will. The further out you go on the risk curve, obviously it gets more risky, right? Needless to say, but the more it outperforms Bitcoin. Swift is partnering with Linea. I don't think I've heard of Linea. Yeah, Previous says 90% of coins will outperform Bitcoin in the short. Exactly. That's why I'm liquidating all my altcoins and I'm keeping some Bitcoin, and I'll be buying altcoins again in the bloody bear market. 805 South Korea says in San Diego. Oh, that's pretty cool. So I'll make a note anytime I'm out in San Diego. Yes, Lord of the Rings in New Zealand for sure. I definitely like fishing. Man, I got to make it out there. Temban says, much love from Dubai. What do you think of Royal Liberty Financial? Let's take a look. I don't hold a token. I don't know much about. Let's see. I haven't honestly looked at the chart at all. Is that the USDT chart? Let's see. Let's jump back to the daily. I think this project could do well simply because it's connected to Trump and there's a lot of visibility and a lot of narratives around it. It's looking strong right now. There's a big jump above the 200-day moving average. Obviously, it just launched in late 2023, so it's got ways to go here. But it's kind of hard to judge because you have the connection to the president. So any type of models are not really going to hold up necessarily. But could this thing go up to 20 bucks and higher? Yeah, it's possible. Again, the connection to the president, right? OJM89 says price prediction for VET and HBAR this bull run. So we mentioned HBAR earlier. Let me just jump to the chart really quick. I think certainly we can break $1, and my hope is that it can get to at least a 2.618, which puts us around $1.50. But could we see realistically maybe $1.20 or so? It's possible, but I think it could do well. And there's an ETF on deck as well, so I'm going to say conservatively $1.50 because we're not far from $1. And then you said VeChain. So I hold the VeChain token. VeChain, though, like I've been telling you guys, we need to see more strength. It's struggling a bit right now, right? And I hold the token, so there's no bias here. I want it to go high, and I'm hoping it can get to 50 cents or something like that, or a little bit higher. That would be really great. It's 50, 60 cents. But we're going to have to be patient here. So I'm hoping we start seeing some strength. The good thing is in December, in the Q4 rally, it did show some strength, but we need to see more. Guys, be sure to check out our sponsors, Uphold, a great place to buy, sell, stake your crypto assets. I'm a user of the platform. Check out Trezor, the maker of a beautiful hardware wallets that allow you to easily self-custody your crypto assets. I'm a user. I use the Trezor Safe 5, and you can get a discount by using my code ThinkingCrypto. Get a 5% discount buying your device. Check out Proppy. They're leading the charge of putting real estate on chain. I'm a Proppy token holder. Check out VeChain. We just talked about it. I'm a holder of the project. Lots of great things happening like staking and much more. Check out iTrust Capital. Great place to invest in crypto via an IRA and get tax benefits. And the second safest way to custody your assets. They have a premium custody account, which is powered by Coinbase Prime, Fidelity Digital Assets, and many other institutional players. And if you sign up with my link, you can get $100 funding bonus. So check out my sponsors, folks. All the links will be in the description. Sign up for my free email newsletter. Check out my book on Amazon and my course at mycryptocourse.com. All right. So let's see what other questions we got here. Ajit says, what are your thoughts about A16Z or AI16Z? So I know about the company A16Z, but I didn't know there was a token. AI16Z. This is wild. I don't know much about this, honestly. Is this actually created by the folks at A16Z? This is one of those new coins as well. It's hard to judge these things because I don't know much about them. There's so many coins out here. But if A16Z actually launched this, it could do well because they have the liquidity, they have the narratives and everything behind them. Absolutely, Brannigan. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. No worries, Pre-Rich. You're actually helping. So I think it's good to have someone else also answering. Thanks. Brannigan says, what are your thoughts on ZBCN? Is that Zebek? I don't hold it. I've heard a lot of things about it. One of the newer tokens that has been doing well, right? Like I mentioned, a new token launches. This launched May 2024. You grabbed it. It's doing pretty well right now. Let's see if there's a chart for it. I don't know if there's enough data though. Hey guys, I'm going to wrap it up soon because we're approaching an hour. Let's see here. What chart should we use? Let's try crypto.com. Is this 2024? Yeah. Okay. So it looks strong, guys. This chart looks strong. It's above the 200-day moving average. You're not seeing any wild swings. You're seeing a lot of strength off that bottom. It looks good. Price prediction wise, I don't know. Again, these short-term charts are my kryptonite. I'm not the best technical analyst. Clearly, you guys know that. But I have a good foundational knowledge. But there are many folks who are more sophisticated and more knowledgeable about these things. But if I'm doing this right, this thing could go higher for sure. Yeah, for sure. Epitox, good afternoon. Great to have you. XOP says, what's up, Tony? Are you going to XRP Community Night in November? Where is that, by the way? XRP Community Night? If it's in New York, yeah, I'll definitely try to come out. I don't know when that's going to be, but oh, okay. In New York. Yeah, that's right. That's right. I forgot about this. November 5th. I think I should be able to attend that. I think I RSVP'd. I got to check, but yeah, I most likely will attend. Yeah, absolutely. Google user. Let's see. All Things says, thoughts on utility adoption affecting certain coins, creating a new L2 cycle tide / different than the current Bitcoin global liquidity cycle. So I don't agree with that. Not that I'm against anything, but just global liquidity moves all markets. So it goes back to what we were talking about with gold, stock market, and crypto market. So I wouldn't go with Bitcoin versus altcoins. I think it's simply global liquidity. The more money that's put out there, the debasement of currency, the higher asset prices go, and nothing is excluded from it. So you kind of want to look at it as crypto, stocks, real estate, precious metals, all moving with it, right? And the example I was giving earlier was the S&P 500 moving in the same dips and peaks as crypto, because it's all following global liquidity. All right, folks, I'm going to wrap it up. Starting to lose my voice a little bit, but wishing you all the best of luck in this bull market, that you make incredible returns. And again, as I started off with, I think the higher probability here is that this bull market continues. There hasn't been major invalidations. Sure, are there bearish signals and things that are appearing? Yes, but the major key items are still in play. No emotions, just facts, right? So think about all the things I shared with you guys. And in my recent newsletter, I highlighted some of these things. So thank you for tuning in. I'll definitely be doing a live stream, and I think more live streams, I should say, in Q4, because I think the markets are going to heat up and seasonality history's on our side. So hang in there. I know the volatility sucks, but I've been through multiple cycles and I've seen it all, folks. So just hang in there, be patient. And if things do get scary and, go back to the data, right? And just leave the emotions. step away from the emotions and just go back to the data. All right, folks, I'll catch you all in the next one. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll talk to you all later.